struggles every day. Makes me wanna holler, go away. I need more peace and hope and love. Where do I find it in this crazy old world? Need strategies, strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio. Every time I listen, Lauren and David share strategies for living, and it makes me aware. I've got strategies for living, strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio
you know,
rehab.
we need them. We need those strategies. So strategies for a living. Welcome into 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Welcome into another edition of Strategies for Living. I'm Dr. David McMillan with psychotherapist, PLPC Lauren Leon McMillan. And look at here, what Lauren drug in the house.
You know, the door was locked. I pounded and pounded on it.
And she let you in finally.
Yeah,
huh?
I snuck in.
Well, you're going to have to figure out how that happens.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the dog.
Yeah, well-
Maybe it is the cat that let him
Who
in.
let the dogs
Who
loose?
let the dogs in? Wow. Oh, man. Well, here's the deal. I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad
too.
to be here.
And, there's a lot of things. This is a new week, new beginning.
Yes.
And there's probably some things that it would be healthy
Lots
psychologically
happened. Yeah.
for us to talk about.
Yeah, I think so.
Speaking of psychologically, do you know the two attitudes that psychology says are the most damaging?
Most corrosive, damaging.
Most corrosive, most damaging, what you want to stay away from, what you want to be aware of in your life.
I got ideas, but why don't you tell me what you're thinking?
Arrogance
Yeah.
and resentment.
Oh, resentments are huge.
And I think arrogance is
That's
huge.
huge,
And
too.
I think that,
I go with that.
we have seen a lot of both of those play out
Collectively.
in the collective.
Ethos, the psyche of the nation.
Yeah.
Given recent events.
Yeah, I wonder what those are.
Which I think is good. It's up for grabs for us all to do some healing work around.
Sure, but we can't heal what we don't.
Right,
What
exactly.
we're not aware of. We can't heal what we don't acknowledge, and so I thought today, new week, new beginning, that it would be good to focus on these two attributes. They're human. I mean, if we're human,
Sure.
we can get resentful. If we're human, we can get arrogant.
It's part of the human experience.
It's part of our experience. However,
And sometimes we need to experience the opposite in order to know that we truly want the other.
True. But the deal is, we need to understand how damaging they can be.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about.
Let's fix the problem, Dave.
Yeah, but let's at least
define it.
Let's at least give some strategies.
For living.
Hey, folks, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you being here with us, and we appreciate our sponsors making it all possible. The Robinson Film Center, and Azalea Cleaners, and Pintail Roofing, and Learning RX, and the Balanced Life Wellness Center, and Fertitas Delicatessen, home of the Godfather, Alligator, Italian Sausage. We'll be back in just a moment with strategies.
Lauren, Jay, and David will find a way to help you out most every day. They help us think healthy and make us smile too. They bring out the strategies just for you. Strategies for living radio. Strategies for living
And welcome into Strategies for Living Radio here on 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Lauren Leon McMillan, Jay Murrell, David McMillan. You just you just registered for your very last
Yes, I did.
semester.
I know.
To get your master's degree
Master
in
of
counseling.
Science in Counseling.
Isn't that exciting?
I'll be a PLPC.
I love it.
right.
Absolutely
I'll be-
love it.
I won't be just like Lauren, but I'll have the same letters after my name.
There you go. There you go.
I'm very excited about that.
You should be. And well, it's just gone quicker than.
Seems that it did.
Yeah.
Attributed largely to this semester, and then the one coming up really kind of hitting it pretty hard.
Yeah.
And going to summer school, but and still running a business. I mean,
You have worked hard at this, Jay. Congratulations.
it keeps
Kudos. to
gets
you.
me up in the morning.
Yeah, I love it.
And
I love it.
because I'm a septuagenarian,
That's right.
and so in human development we learn that to keep your brain growing, this whole neuroplasticity thing,
Yep.
learning new stuff,
It's the ticket.
That's the way to do it.
and then applying it occasionally,
Yep.
and sometimes well and sometimes not, but
Well, that's okay.
Just
You're struggling with it.
yeah. So
It's the wrestling
so
match.
it keeps you going.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Keeps you going. I'm really, David, one more time, I'm going to tell you the reason that I came to this was because under your influence, I came to realize that I had another career in me.
Thank you.
And I'm very, very appreciative to you, David McMillan, for kind of turning that light on that I didn't know
My
there
pleasure.
was a bulb in it.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for following the path. And
Putting work in.
I'm excited to see where it's going to unfold for you.
I will tell you that I had a really nice conversation with Father Jerry Daigle. We had the 75th anniversary of St. Joseph Parish.
Yeah.
And this past Saturday, and it was packed. And I had a really nice visit with Father Daigle and told him what I was doing.
Yeah.
And we kind of got to talk, and I said, Father, there might be some folks that come to you. And maybe I can help if
Yeah,
He said,
yeah.
I'm trying to put a team together. So
Fantastic.
we'll see how that goes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So today I wanted to talk about, because we've all lived, this year has been an interesting year so far, and talk about the way time flies. I mean, I can't believe we're
wrapping it up.
we're at the cusp of Thanksgiving now, just around the corner. I mean, and then the Christmas holidays, and then first of the year after that. But to look back at this year, it's been an interesting year. It's been an eventful year. It's been for some people, some more than others, it's been a very stress-filled year. So I thought that it would be a good topic today to talk about, from a psychological perspective, what are the attitudes that can be most damaging, most destructive? Turns out that some people say, well, that would be arrogance and resentment.
I totally agree.
So let's start with the arrogance. How would we define psychologically, how would we define arrogance?
I would start with a fixed mindset.
Okay, what do you mean
Fixation.
when you say fixed mindset?
Well, an arrogance to me implies that I know the way I have the answers, and that's it. That's the
Okay,
end
so
of the
a
story.
superiority, in
Yes,
other words.
yes.
Yeah.
Taken out to a psychological condition, and I'm not saying that's this extreme, but narcissistic personality disorder.
Yeah.
Could, yes.
Yeah, could
I
be.
mean, if it's really bad, narcissism, thinking I'm the one.
Yep.
And it's my way or the highway, and really being condescending to people that don't have the same
Well,
view.
I'm glad you're mentioning both of those, Jay, because I think one of the elements is also, and you mentioned, we certainly hear a lot, and we read a lot about narcissism today. It gets thrown around.
It's kind of like gaslighting. It gets misused a lot, in its definition.
But at its essence, when we talk about that, what are we talking about? It's really a lack of empathy. It's really a lack of the ability to put yourself into the shoes
Other
of another
person's shoes.
It's a very interesting disease or disorder, right? Because
Right.
we think of it as a very self-centered disease or disorder, and yet oftentimes someone who qualifies at the level of narcissistic.
At the clinical level, the diagnostic level.
They actually have no idea who they are.
Right.
And so it's really not a true self-centered in that I know who I am and I'm really strong in who I am and this is it.
Right.
It's actually quite the opposite.
They're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they mask it.
Yeah.
I think there's also, when we talk about arrogance, there is the superiority, there's the lack of empathy that you guys have mentioned.
An ignorance.
Okay.
Involved there.
Okay, yeah. I think there may be an ignorance. You're bringing that up. But I think there's also a dismissiveness to arrogance.
Condescension towards other people.
Yeah. It's like, I know better for you
than you
know for you.
Right.
Yeah. And that's a very dismissive way of approaching the world.
It pushes people away for sure.
Yeah. So okay, so if we're on the definition, if we're halfway right about the definition of arrogance, why? I mean, people may, once I ask this question, say, "Well, isn't it obvious?" But you guys are the experts sitting at the table. Why is that so destructive? Why is that? Like acid, especially eating away a relationship.
You can't build any kind of community. If you have basically half the I'm not going to say half the population, but in the most recent election, I think we could think of many instances where that was on display. And even after the election's over, there's some people that are really grieving.
Yep.
And we maybe get into this more when we talk about resentments, but. There's some people that are really hurt, and I get it. And some of them are saying some things to people that they love.
Yeah.
That isn't real good.
Yeah. And I think that's happening on both sides, don't you?
Yep.
Gloating is ugly.
Yeah.
That can be a form of arrogance.
That's
okay. Well, it is.
Yeah.
It totally is. I'll go with that.
Yeah.
Gloating. This is not. If you voted for the guy that won, and you're real happy about it, gloating is not an attractive personality trait.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that can come with some arrogance as well.
Come with a ton of, you were right. I was right and you were wrong. I get it. So tone that down if you're doing that. It's not attractive. Yeah. It doesn't build community. But it's not grief driven. I guess it's just ego, centric, I'm right and you're wrong. I don't know.
On the other end of the spectrum, I think there's a great deal of fear that is stirring.
Sure.
And
arrogance provides a way to help feel in control of that fear.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad you're mentioning that.
That's good, Lauren.
And again, we want to control what we don't feel like we can control, right?
And by saying, I know the way and this is it, that's saying, okay, I'm setting this in stone so I can provide some certainty for myself even when I feel in reality it's very uncertain.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to introduce one other thing. You guys have largely been pointing outward so far, and I totally agree with what you're saying.
Outward collectively.
Collectively, yeah. This is the damaging. This is what's destructive about arrogance. I want to point inward because I think that arrogance can block your ability to take in new information so it can block the ability to continue to grow personally. And so in both cases, outward and inward, it's a problem in relationship, in authentic relationship,
starting with
yourself and with others. That makes sense?
Totally.
Yeah. And if we're seeing it in the collective, the collective is made up of each of our individuals' psyches. And so if we're seeing it in the collective, we've got to look at ourselves because we're contributing to that in some way.
Right.
Well, that's all we have control over is ourselves.
And again, I think that there's been, and again, we don't do a whole lot of politics on this program, but again, we've all
God,
lived,
I miss Carla.
we've all lived through what we've lived through. Yeah, well, maybe
we did a few of those.
Yeah, just a few. We've all lived through what we've lived through, and I think we've all been able to watch the media in action. And I won't name names, but there's a lot of arrogance out there. There was, and I even think after the results continues to be, you can see just a tremendous amount of and I'm talking some of the mainstream media outlets. There's just a lot of arrogance, so it blocks them from being able to see.
Well, and to reach.
It's hard
people.
to admit you're wrong, okay?
Yeah.
It just is. And so you come up with these excuses for why it didn't work out for your preferred outcome.
Yeah.
And self-examination is hard. Self-reflection that involves, examining what you did and how that worked out for you.
Well, and we got to go to break here, so I'm going to give you guys something to think about, and we'll come back in this next segment. But I want to start with, okay, well, we've set the table here. How do I recognize this in myself? It's hard to recognize in myself this idea of arrogance, and we're gonna come back and talk about resentment. That also is acidic in our lives and our relationships with ourselves and others. So, but when we come back, how do we recognize within ourselves arrogance? So we'll start there when
Sounds
we come
good.
back, talking about the attitudes that really are destructive, that we really want to be aware of, both arrogance and resentment, talking about them today here on Strategies for Living. We'll be right back. Hey, let's talk about the Robinson Film Center. I say it a lot. There's no place like the Robinson.
Absolutely, there is not.
617 Texas Street, downtown Shreveport. You've got so much. You got the movies. You got Abby Singer's Bistro on the second floor of RFC, open for lunch and dinner Tuesday through Saturday.
Newly remodeled.
Absolutely. Great menu. RobinsonFilmCenter.org is the way you check it all out. You can go to RobinsonFilmCenter.org at any time and find out what movies are showing. Here's the deal. You want to join the crowd, join the fun, become a member. When you become a member, you become a star. You get discounts on movies, you get concession upgrades, you get bistro deals. RFC, 617 Texas Street in downtown Shreveport. I'll say it again. There's no place like the Robinson.
There is not, and I'm glad we have one right here.
Absolutely. The RobinsonFilmCenter.org.
Reading begins not in the classroom, but in your child's brain. I'm Donisa Walker with LearningRx Shreveport. If your child struggles to read, maybe he or she has trouble focusing or comprehending, LearningRx Shreveport offers a science solution to reading problems, working one-on-one with your child, targeting his or her reading skills. Today, call LearningRx Shreveport. Make an appointment to have your child assessed. I know you want to help your child, so does LearningRx Shreveport.
We all have problems every day. We all need help along the way. We need strategies for living radio.
I love it when Jay comes in and belts out,
Isn't he
his
great?
true feeling. Yeah,
that's it.
He is.
David, your bumper music is a cut above.
I'm having a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun creating.
Everybody needs to know David's writing this stuff and getting it produced, and it's really original and very well produced.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's
especially like the one that mentions me.
Yeah,
Of course. No arrogance.
I'm not
at all.
arrogant.
It took me a while to write that, Jay. I had to get all the I's dotted and the T's crossed.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
So we're talking about two psychological attitudes that are extremely destructive today: arrogance and resentment. So let's come back and finish up arrogance very quickly. Mm-hmm. What are strategies, guys, that we can use to be able to, practical strategies to be able to ask myself, is arrogance coming up in me?
How do you get to be that self-aware, David? Because arrogance is hard to get
It
into.
is.
It is.
Arrogant.
I think it's about surrounding yourself with people who will be honest with you.
Oh, there you
go.
Who will help you.
Oh, boy, I got one of those.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, I mean, she's called me twice today to tell me a couple of things I needed to tweak.
I understand. I think of the concept of Johari's window.
Yeah.
And I think of, and if folks, if you're not familiar with it, I won't spend a lot of time today. You can Google it, but there's a lot of stuff out there on the internet about it. But it's basically, there's things about myself that I know. There's things about myself that I don't know. Mm-hmm. There's things about myself that others know. There's things about myself that others don't know. So,
and you don't know.
And then I don't know. Nobody knows. It's the unknown. So, but there's how big so that forms a window, 4 panes of the window. Mm-hmm. The question is, how big is the pane? Are the 2 panes that make up our blind spot and the unknown? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, how do the originators of Johari's window says that to be healthy, we want to open up what they call our arena as wide as we can. And they say the way to do that is to a combination of soliciting feedback from other people, people that I trust and people that I know are going to tell me the truth, and self-disclosure. So through the combination of self-disclosure and soliciting feedback, I can open up what they call my arena. Yeah. And according to Johari's window, the bigger your arena, the healthier you're living. So I think in a nutshell, I think that's the key.
I think another practice, if you are aware that you have some arrogance, is, to practice moving into the unknown. Moving into your uncertainty. Yeah. In areas where you feel, well, this is the way.
Right.
How can you open more?
Right.
How can I surrender a little more, or solicit, or listen to other sides of what I believe to be?
Well, you can start by going to a good therapist.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I happen to know a couple.
Do you?
Yeah. Okay. Anybody need? You can call me and I can give you some names.
Hook them up.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, so let's get into resentment, because again, resentment. Maybe, I don't know if they're equally destructive, if one's a little bit more destructive than the other. I don't know that, and I don't want to get into the weeds there. But I can tell you this.
I think, interestingly enough, they're like the past and the future. Almost. I think of arrogance as the future. Like, I know it all and I don't need to know anymore. I don't need to be open to the future.
That's good, Lauren.
Shut that down.
Like that.
Whereas resentment is the same. It's 2 sides of the same coin, right? Mm-hmm. And so resentment is what the word actually says, resentment, which is to feel again.
Again and again.
So
and
resentment
again.
is bringing the past into the present.
What am I carrying around?
Yeah.
Let me give you my
arrogance is being shut out to the future.
Yeah.
Let me give you my definition.
Go.
Resentment is like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's how bad it is.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's a lot, how do I know? Well, if there's a lot of unresolved anger in your life, if there is jealousy, if you carry around a lot of past grievances that don't feel like they're resolved, then there could be a resentment problem. What's the psychological impact of resentment?
You're closed off.
Yep.
You can't forgive. You can't if you can't forgive, you can't be forgiven, right?
Yep. So, closed off, and if I'm closed off long enough, I guarantee you, we know this now because of the last 30 or 40 years of research, especially in mind-body. The mind-body connection. So we know that that level of resentment can lead to chronic stress.
Oh yeah, which will kill you.
Can lead to health issues.
Yeah,
they could be heart. They could be blood pressure. They could be joints. They could manifest. It can manifest in a lot of different ways in different people. Yeah. Autoimmune. Mm-hmm. It's not a one size fits all.
Right.
But the damage that can be done both emotionally and psychologically, as well as physically, when you carry resentment.
You carry it in your body.
Yes, you do.
Your emotional, your mental, and physical bodies.
Yeah. And people who have resentment, many of them have experienced some type of trauma.
Sure. I mean, I think that's one of the main things that gets you stuck, because when you're in resentment, I like what Jay said, you're closed off.
Yep.
But I would add to that and say you're not just closed off, but you're recycling the same story.
Old blame.
Yeah.
Hatred.
And you're completely closed off to who or what the person or situation is now, because you're so stuck in that loop.
Yep.
Of whatever it is, fear, hurt, blame, anger, shame.
Doesn't matter. It could be anything.
There's a book out. It's been out several years, but it's excellent. It's called "The Body Keeps the Score." Mm-hmm. I think the guy's name is Dr. Bessel van der Kolk. Mm-hmm. And it's an excellent book. It's an excellent read. If there were two books that I was going to recommend for someone, to read, and these books are not about resentment, but they can be the result. One would be the what I just mentioned, Dr. van der Kolk's "The Body Keeps the Score." The other one would be Bruce Lipton's book, "The Biology of Belief."
Yes,
because at the cellular level, I mean, he shows how at the very cellular level, our beliefs and attitudes are going to affect us right down to every single cell in the body. And he does a good job of illustrating how that happens because he's a cellular biologist by profession. The resentment thing. How do I begin to identify my resentments? How would I become? What are the strategies?
Do the fourth step
where I could be more aware. Okay, talk about what is the fourth step?
So I'm big on 12 steps. Okay, the fourth step is make a searching and fearless moral inventory.
Okay,
everything that you've done that you wish you hadn't done, but also a resentment list, a list of the people or the circumstances or the things, even like the phone company, that you have resentment against, and then very importantly, in making that list, try to think of what your part in that situation is.
Yeah, yeah. I'm kind of chuckling because, if you're Catholic, and very few people around here are, it's about 7% of the population.
I think it's the second smallest diocese in the whole United States.
Yeah, so it's not a lot of people. Most people are not, but most people know a little something about Catholicism. One of the things that they do in Catholicism is one of the sacraments is reconciliation,
also known as confession,
also known as going to confession, the old way. But anyway, you're taught to do when you're going to go to reconciliation, you're taught and encouraged to do an examination of consciousness. Mm-hmm. And I'm chuckling because as I'm listening to you, Jay, I'm thinking that, the fourth step
I wonder where Bill got that idea.
Is confession for all.
Well, he got the idea from Carl Jung, actually.
Right.
Who was a very spiritual, fellow.
And a lot, the 12 steps, a good part of them were formulated by Bill Wilson's correspondence and study of Carl Jung. Mm-hmm. And I said it the way you usually say it, Jung.
Jung, forever Jung.
Yes, so there's the fourth step. So you make this searching and fearless moral inventory and all of these resentments. And the fifth step is confession.
Right.
Yeah. Admitting to another individual.
Right.
the exact nature of our wrongs and our resentments and our part in them.
Yep.
And then the sixth step is being willing to have whoever your higher power is relieve you.
Take it away. Yeah.
Penance. Yeah.
And then even beyond that, the other step is go make amends unless it would do more damage.
Yeah, like if you robbed a bank, you probably don't want to go. No, you make a list of persons we'd harmed.
Yeah.
And became willing to make amends to them all, except when to do so would injure them or others.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So again,
and then you do it.
Exactly. And that process,
It's
if you
powerful
will, is
if
powerful.
you really engage in it.
Yeah. One other thing that, we talk a lot about forgiveness, and, we don't have time today to go into.
It's a whole nother show.
It's a whole nother. It's a
That's
whole
a lifetime of work.
Yeah, it's a bunch of shows. But, to dive into and to immerse yourself in, what truly is forgiveness?
Mm-hmm.
That can be a very, very powerful process.
What are your motivations for, if you're dealing with another human being, what are your motivations? What do you expect from it?
Yep. Who are you? Why are you doing it?
Because it's important that we transcend the old idea of forgiveness, which is, that, I'm going to be the better person and I'm going to do it.
It ain't about that.
No,
not
it's
if you do it right.
That can get me back into the arrogance.
It's a doom.
Right.
It's a doom loop.
Right.
Yeah.
So true forgiveness.
You doing it for you, or are you
Right.
doing it for? Well, you are doing it for you, in that you want to be cleansed
to free yourself.
to free
let
yourself
go.
of.
And to be able to be
Exactly.
present.
You're doing it better than me.
You know what's interesting?
What?
If you take resent and you add a P to it, you get to be present.
I like it.
Ooh.
Can I steal that?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. You already have.
Okay, here's $1.
Talking about
We'll talk later.
resentment and arrogance today. Two very psychological, from a psychological point of view, two attitudes that are extremely acidic and destructive to self and others. We'll talk more coming back here on Strategies for Living. Stay here.
From the bayou to your table, we're keeping it alive with flavors from the family, passed down to survive. The Godfather's here with a twist in the tail, alligator Italian sausage, and it sure won't fail. It's the boss of the bayou, a taste you can't refuse. Italian tradition, Cajun infused. Godfather sausage, bold and true. The Padres bringing the bayou to you.
Get the Godfather alligator Italian sausage only at Fertitta's Delicatessen, 1124 Fairfield Avenue in Shreveport. Pick up a muffy while you're there. The Godfather alligator Italian sausage. It's a taste you can't refuse. Sold only at Fertitta's, 1124 Fairfield Avenue in Shreveport. Dealing with stress, pain, feel like you're running out of options? When your life is balanced, wellness is a given. True wellness is holistic. It's about the mind, the body, and the spirit, all in balance. Now, there's a place right here in Shreveport that's all about helping us achieve peak mental, emotional, and physical health. The Balanced Life, 117 Kings Highway, right next door to Strawn's. Come see and feel the difference getting your life in balance can be. Many of your friends and neighbors have already learned the difference less stress and pain mean in their lives. You can book a discovery session right now online, thebalancedlife.us. All you've got to lose is stress, pain, or maybe both. Come see and feel for yourself the real difference balanced wellness makes. The Balanced Life Wellness Center, 117 Kings Highway in Shreveport, next door to Strawn's, thebalancedlife.us. And welcome back. Welcome back into 1017 FM, 710 Keel, and Strategies for Living with Lauren, Leon McMillan, and Jay Murrell. I'm David McMillan. Glad you're here with us. We're talking We're talking about two very destructive attitudes today, according to psychology. They are arrogance and resentment. Okay, so let me ask both of you, arrogance and resentment, do these two feed off each other?
Sure.
Are they related? Is there a relationship in between arrogance and resentment? Do they feed off one another?
Is this a rhetorical question?
Kinda.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Lauren, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I think it goes off of what I said earlier in the show. I think they're two sides of the same coin. And yeah, I do think that they could certainly feed off of each other because, when you get stuck in that loop of resentment, you can become arrogant in saying that, well, there's nothing else beyond this.
All right. So what I'm hearing you say then is that they reinforce each other.
Yes, definitely.
There's a reinforcement that goes on between arrogance and resentment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe even amplification.
Maybe
of each
not
other.
100% of the time, but often they are related.
How many
to one
arrogant
another.
people are prideful?
Probably
Okay,
a whole
so
lot.
pride, if you go by Dante's Inferno, pride is the most deadly sin.
Yep.
And why is that? Well, people that are prideful aren't terribly teachable, right?
Yeah, they're closed.
Right.
They're closed off.
Closed off, which is what Lauren said earlier.
Right.
And so if I'm closed off, I'm not going to be able to take any new information in, so I'm just going to stew in my resentment. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm full of it.
Because I'm full of it.
I'm full and
Full of what, Lauren?
you're full of it, and
I know.
you can't add anything else in there
Yeah,
if
I'm
you're
it.
full.
I can't believe
Yeah.
you told him that.
The truth hurts.
Not only can I not
I'm
believe
self-aware.
not only can I not believe that you just told him that, I can't believe his response and reaction. He's not resentful or arrogant.
No.
Right, no, because he's healthy and he's
It
growing.
shows how it shows the growth.
I'm open.
I love it.
The water flows through. It's not stagnant.
I love
That's
it.
important,
I
yeah.
love it. So, do people use arrogance and resentment as a defense mechanism?
Absolutely. I knew what you were
You
going to
knew
say.
I was going to ask that.
It is a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a block.
The hardest thing, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys have been doing this longer than me. Examination of self for self is hard and it's scary.
Yeah.
Can be.
Oh, I don't know if I really want to go do that with you, but in that room where we're talking about me, because I might find out something I just don't want to explore.
Right. Or I don't like, or I didn't know about. I shoved it down for a reason.
When
right?
we use a term like defense mechanism, we could also call it coping mechanism.
Sure. Right.
How do we define that? What is a defense mechanism or a coping mechanism? And why is it important for us to know them?
I'm going to come at it from a parts angle.
Okay.
Okay. We all have different parts in us.
Yep.
And so this defensive part, it's protective.
Right.
It's trying to protect a more vulnerable piece of you.
Right.
And so, a lot of times we come at a defense mechanism and say, oh, we need to get rid of that.
Right.
We need to make it go away. We need to stop doing that. But often what that does is just makes it worse.
Right.
Right. And so the point is to recognize that, I have become arrogant in response to a deep fear that I truly don't know what's going on. Or I've become arrogant as a response to a fear that I can't control what's going on
Right.
in this particular incident.
Right.
And so, see, by looking at it that way, we can see that arrogance is a protector, and it loves you.
Yeah.
It's a part that really is trying to help you.
Right.
And so it's about being able to bring that in and say, okay, there are some times in life where using that arrogance to a certain level can help you.
You're reminded me, as I'm listening to you, Lauren, you're reminded me and taking me back, some 30 some odd years or more back in graduate school, and a very wise professor.
Yes.
The course was abnormal psychology. And this professor was talking to us. We had talked about Sigmund Freud identified a handful of, and he's the one that came up with the label defense mechanisms. Mm-hmm. And so he identified a number of them that he was aware of. And of course, we've built upon those. But she was saying, and she said, okay, well now as young therapists, you're armed now with the knowledge of these defense mechanisms. And she said, a lot of you will want to go out now and jerk them away from people when you can identify. And she said, be very, very cautious as you do that, because she said, and it's one of the best definitions or best ideas, I think, that she could have given us. She said, defense mechanisms are kind of like those life preservers on the big ships, those big round life preservers that if somebody's fallen into the water and they're drowning, you throw them out. You throw out the life ring, and they save their lives. Mm-hmm. And she said, they keep them afloat mm-hmm. and keep them from drowning. Right. And she said, you would never go out and jerk that away from somebody if it's saving their lives. And that was a very wise thing to teach, in mm-hmm. addition to the ability to identify, well, these are common defense or coping mechanisms. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful analogy, too, because it brings in the idea that, okay, you have to teach them the basics of swimming before you can take the life preserver away.
Yeah.
You're so smart. I thought that a second before you said it.
Well, there you are.
No, really, I did. I mean, yeah, so let's teach you how to swim so you don't need to employ that not terribly healthy defense mechanism.
Right.
Absolutely.
I like that.
Yeah. How does our society and our culture today kind of, influence both these things, these psychological aspects that, psychology says these are destructive, mm-hmm. arrogance and defensiveness. How does our cultural and social environment, really fuel resentment and arrogance today?
Have you been through the past few weeks?
Yeah, well, I think we've all lived
on the world stage.
We've all lived through them. Yeah, but
I think additionally, some degree of social media might have some impact on that as well.
Yeah,
it's there in front of you immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, instant gratification.
Well, and the fact that I have to put on a face or I have to perform or it's not safe to reveal that maybe I don't know the answers.
Maybe we just ought to take a breath, back off, and probably pause before you react.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That might help.
Maybe so. We're talking resentment, and we're talking arrogance from a psychological point of view. Two very, very destructive attitudes that we want to tune into. And it's easy to tune into them in others. Not so easy. It's possible, but not so easy to tune into them in ourselves. And that's the point. Talking about that today here on Strategies for Living. We've got more. We'll be right back. You're going to see the difference. When you go to Azalea Cleaners, you'll hear about it too. Azalea Cleaners has been fine dry cleaning since 1958, plus laundry, alterations and repairs, comforters, wedding gown cleaning and restoration. You'll hear about it from your friends because they'll see it too. They'll notice the Azalea difference. Azalea is convenient. 732 Azalea Drive, 9220 Ellerby Road, and 9227 Mansfield Road. Plus, the front door of your home or business with Azalea's delivery on demand. Just text SETUP to 249-8283, and Azalea will pick up your clothes and deliver them back clean and fresh to you. You can't get closer than that. That's the Azalea difference. You'll notice it right away. Others will too. The Azalea difference. Fine dry cleaning since 1958. Text SETUP to 249-8283 and get the Azalea difference. AzaleaCleaners.com.
Hi, this is Jay Murrell for Pintail Roofing. Let's talk about quality. When you hire Pintail to build your roof, here's what you can expect. Quality and quality control are the most important concerns for us at Pintail, and you need to know that Pintail stands tall with swift and professional performance on any warranty call. This is our most important policy. And remember, we're your neighbors. We'll be here for you for the long haul. Our family's lived here for over 100 years, and we aren't going anywhere. On the commercial side of Pintail's business, our fluid-applied roofing solutions can save thousands of dollars over conventional commercial roofing options. Call Pintail at 226-ROOF for a free inspection of your home or commercial building. That's 226-7663. Pintail Roofing. What's the condition of your roof?
And welcome back. Welcome back into Strategies for Living here on 101.7 FM 710 Keel. Lauren Leon McMillan and Jay Murrell, David McMillan. Have you gotten over to Fertitta's and made amends with Agatha?
I shall not tell on.
Got you a muffy. And, okay, well, you're going to have to
please give Agatha. Tell her I'm coming.
You just did.
I'm coming, Agatha.
You just did. Get over there and get you some of the Godfather alligator Italian sausage. Everything going well up on the roof?
It is. I think I told you maybe off air. You know, our commercial business is thriving. I'm as busy as I want to be. Just got a call from my buddy Todd Faulkner over in Ruston, who runs our Ruston office. He got a roof today, a residential roof.
Fantastic.
So we're building roofs.
I love it.
And call us, Roof. 226-7663.
226-ROOF.
Yeah, that's it. Call us, and we got a really good core group now. So most important quality is quality control.
If you have any issue, or Pintail will come and for free.
Yeah,
give you
we will.
Assessment.
We give you an inspection.
Yep, and tell you what's going on.
You remember Keep Happy?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Chicken fly high, chicken fly low. Your po chicken don't fly no more.
That's it.
You got a leak on your roof, we'll come see if we can fix it. Keep happy.
There you go. Well, Lauren, Jay, always a pleasure to be here on Strategies for Living with both of you. You keep me going.
Likewise.
Likewise, David.
Thank you. Folks, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you being with us on Strategies, because you're the reason we do this, and our sponsors make it possible. The Robinson Film Center, and Azalea Cleaners, and Pintail Roofing,
Roof,
and Learning RX, and the Balanced Life Wellness Center, and Fertitta's Delicatessen, home of the Godfather alligator Italian sausage. If today were the last day of your life, you only had one more phone call that you could make, who would you call? What would you say? And why are you waiting? Make the call. For Lauren Leon McMillan, for Jay Murrell, I'm David McMillan. See you next time right here on Strategies for Living.